Can't hold her.
What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we're talking the Ironheart 3-episode finale.
Finale?
Wrap up
I think
is more
that's
like
accurate. You can tell what Dave thinks. But before we get into all of that fun, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I'm fan-freaking-tastic. I say that tongue-in-cheek today, I guess. It's been a bad day overall. We don't get political, so I won't bring up that part of it. But my daughter's car broke down, so we don't know what she's going to do about that. So that kind of sucks for her. So I was helping around a little bit with that. But we get to come here and talk about this show, which that felt like a Christopher Walken moment, didn't it?
Going to talk about the show.
But
Need
before we
more
get to that,
Ironheart.
but before we get to that, Doug, how are you?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, other than the prior mentioned nonsense of today, I am outstanding. I am outstanding. And you want to know, Dave, why I'm outstanding?
Why? Because you're a
I get
farmer?
to hang out with you two wonderful gentlemen.
Nice.
Oh, that's including me, too. Thank you, Doug.
It is.
I had to count real quick.
No, he was talking about Sully. Is he coming on?
Well, I went upstairs to get my tea, and he was sitting in the chair. He was ready to go.
Oh, he was. See? All right.
All right, there you go. But I'm looking forward to talking about this show that ended as quick as it started, I guess. 3 episodes in, 3 episodes out. So before we get into that, though, Keith, sir, how are you doing?
You know what? Despite the shenanigans from earlier today, I am tremendous. Always good to be on here with you guys talking nerdy stuff. We've got Ironheart discussion. We got some other news and rumors after that. So,
Ooh.
stay tuned for that. But hey, should we jump into the 3-episode finale of Ironheart?
I
We
think
should.
we should.
Suit up, fine.
We got 3 episodes,
Suit up.
like we said. We got Bad Magic, we got Karma's a Glitch, and The Past is the Past. And it starts out, Riri's a little paranoid that Robbins is on her tail. She's trying to analyze the little bit of the hood she lasered off, instead of cutting with plastic. Oh, no, we're not getting into that today. Not getting into that. And she kind of finds out it's a limitless energy source. And unfortunately, Zeke has been arrested for the cruise heist because his biomesh was left behind. And he's a little resentful of Riri over all of that.
Gee, I wonder why. She did the one thing. He said one thing. Don't let this come back to me.
We're friends, right? Implement your upgrades, but promise me this won't blow back on me.
I swear.
I cannot go down for this. I don't want to end up like my father. And she did the one thing, which, again, I know that I complained about that last time, so I'm not going to get into the weird plot hole nonsense of it all that she just happened to have to leave that behind so Zeke would happen to get arrested so then Zeke could be turned into an android and come after... Whatever. Suspend my disbelief.
Just so you know, Kevin Davis on YouTube said Ironheart was a good show to me, grade B in 80, or an 8 out of 10, I suppose. So
Okay. All right.
So we already got his vote for later.
Wow,
thank you for that,
excellent.
Kevin. We do appreciate
But
that.
so far on this show, it hasn't really shown Riri's good side. She's kind of
No.
still,
You know
doing
why?
things that are shady.
I realized something. We won't jump to the end, but I realized something
Okay.
at the end of this show. This show is a tragedy. It is not your typical superhero show because the entire time, all we see is her fall from grace. She's
yeah.
kicked out of MIT for selling papers and stuff. She can't connect with her mom. She can't tell her mom what's going on properly. she joins a gang. She's always taking the quick route to get things done, and she's not doing it properly. And that, we won't talk about the ending yet, but the ending solidified that with what happened. And I was like, I kind of realized, I was like, dang, this is a tragedy. This is the fall of Riri Williams. And I did not expect them to do that on the show. I was pretty shocked.
It almost makes me wonder because we, again, not trying to like jump to the end or anything, but we didn't get any of the kind of endings that we all thought was going to happen. Like we all assumed that it was going to go the way of a lot of these other shows where she might get recruited in one of the many other teams. Like you had theorized that, oh, well, she'll probably end up with the Midnight Suns, or maybe she'll be with the Challengers or the New Avengers or
Champions,
something like
not
that.
challengers.
Huh?
Champions, not
Champions,
challengers.
whatever. There's something. They're not the Young Avengers anymore, whatever they want to call themselves. But we figured she'd end up with one of them. But kind of, tacking on to what you were talking about, I don't know that she's really, because she really hasn't established herself as a good guy. As Dave put it, she's kind of had her bit of a villain here. She hasn't really done anything good, and it kind of makes me wonder when it does come to these major events, these things that require these heroes to come and save the day, what side will she be on?
And who would call her?
Yeah. At this point.
No, very, very good points. And we'll talk more about that when we get to the end. But, coming back to here, her mom's worried about her, and she ends up taking her to some friends of hers who are Carmitage trainees, and one's kind of self-taught, Zelma. And, they are examining the fragment of the hood and figure out it's from the dark dimension that is kind of influencing Parker.
I thought this was when they introduced the character, another one-dimensional character.
Which
Who,
one?
Zelma?
Depth. The daughter with the magical powers.
Oh, I didn't think so at all. I actually,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
me neither.
she was like my favorite character out of these episodes.
Right. Well, she was exactly the geek of witchcraft that you would expect. She had no variation to it. She was just like, I don't know.
I saw some
seen it a million
variation.
times.
To me, she used a mix of like Doctor Strange style magic and witchcraft. She kind of combined the two because, or as I put it, very normal MCU term. She used sparky magic and cloudy magic.
And, she had those mind maggots that kind of hinted at previous adventures with other things.
Yeah, her backstory in the comics.
Yeah. I did not see her
I
as
found her
one-dimensional. I thought she
completely
was...
just like the rest of the team.
And she liked White
Yeah.
Castle. So, she's cool. She was definitely... I disagree with that. We still got very one-dimensional characters in the Heist gang. Zelma was not...
I will say their stupid marketing worked. I cannot believe that. But I woke up today and I'm like, you know what sounds good? One of White Castle's breakfast sandwiches, which, hear me out, they're actually good. They make real eggs.
Oh, I've never had a breakfast sandwich at White Castle. So, hey,
I
if
didn't
Doug
know
says
they
it's
did
good...
They are
Yeah, I didn't
not
either.
bad. And so I was like, I had one of those days where I wasn't going to get like a normal lunchtime because all of my classes were going to like run up right next to each other. So I had like a half an hour in between a morning meeting and a training. And so I'm like, you know what? White Castle is real close by. It's quick. They're still serving breakfast. I'm going to get a couple of breakfast sandwiches. And then I thought about it after as I'm unpacking the bag. I'm like, damn you, Ironheart. You made me want White Castle. What's wrong with me? At least I didn't get one of their White Castle sandwiches because then I would have had to just skip work.
Things are always better with juicy beef and onion sandwiches from White Castle, America's medieval sandwich restaurant.
White Castle. We'll serve anybody.
How much are they paying you, Doug? How much are they paying you?
Nothing yet, but...
No one pays me anything. Drink Sprite.
Yeah, there we go. We don't have product placements here. I don't have anything to show, but that's okay. But So they depart the magic shop or the sweet shop that has magic people.
Both.
And, the mom's trying to talk to her. And once again, Riri, this being a tragedy,
Pushing her away.
she pushes her away and won't confide in her. The mom is someone who wants to help her. And she flies off in her suit. And I was like, okay, they're trying very hard to make us, I don't want to say not like Riri, but shake our heads
Like
at her
other
decisions.
characters other than her.
Yeah. Yeah, there's enough dislike of some characters to go around. But she ends up flying off. She meets with Xavier, where Natalie comes out, and he's horrified by it.
I like how she meets with Xavier, though. I mean, that would freak me out. Just like an iron suit showing up at my window and then opening up, like beckoning me, and I'm like, I'm envisioning, okay, I'm sorry. You want me to climb out of my window and try and get into that suit? My luck, I would have tried to take one step, slip on like the part where your feet go in the suit, fall, conk my head, drop down out of the window, smash myself onto the ground below, and then that's how the Iron Man suit would have delivered me my mushy mess from the ground floor. I am way too clumsy to. I'm glad they didn't show, because I feel like that entire thing would have been awkward. The suit picking him up to bring him to Riri.
I would have been like, you want me to get in the suit? One, I'm probably too tall, because,
Oh, that I didn't even think about that. Right.
Yeah, that's
She
what I
designed it around
thought,
her
too.
height.
I was like, this isn't universal, one size fits all type thing. So how
I
he's
guess-
going to be in there like this?
I guess if it had been like the what is the type of metal used that Tony
Nanotech?
used? Nanotech, yeah. I'm guessing if it would have been a nanotech suit, that would have made more sense. Which I am glad they didn't do that. Yet I'm sure they will. But I like the more physical looking metal suits. So high praise for that.
yes.
And by
I
the
like
way,
the show did that.
wasn't that like a low point for her? She's already upset. And then Natalie goes and gets him, and he makes it like twice as bad.
Right? Oh,
know,
this is stupid. This is great. And by the way, this is something that I've complained about other shows and movies, but I've gotten to the point where it happens so often, I really don't bother anymore. But Dave, could that not have been solved with just a simple conversation?
Which part?
Him telling her to delete the Natalie AI.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Like
they could
just
have.
a little bit of communication. She could have explained how Natalie got there. But she just kind of like fumbled through her words. Like, just tell him, look, I put these things on my head, and then
Yeah.
I pressed a button on my computer. Something got hacked, I guess, and boom.
Exactly.
That's
Have
how
a
AIs are born.
conversation. Yeah. I this AI on this show is driving me crazy because it's been so much more out there than any other AI that we've had before. This one has like a personality of its own.
It's incredibly sentient. It is not at all like any other computer program.
And I know we haven't got to yet, so I can't mention the other thing I found really dumb. But
We'll get there.
yeah, we'll get there.
And then to finish off episode 1, Bad Magic, Parker breaks into jail. For some reason, the door's unlocked. But he's able to go into Zeke's cell and basically say, hey, we're going to break you out. Meet me at midnight. The door will be open. And he gets out. And they end up building his giant bio implant sort of machine. And not only give him all of the bio implants he's been working on to supercharge him, but Slug turns over control to Parker at the end.
Keith, did you know that you can change over admin rights by simply deleting one name and then typing a new name? And then all of a sudden, somehow, voice recognition is just there.
Everything works. Yeah.
Everything just works, man. Boy, the technology of what year is this based in?
That's a good question.
I think
It
it's
takes
this year.
place before the Marvels. So I
Oh,
don't know when
really?
that
It
would
takes
be.
place before the Marvels.
That's
No kidding.
what
I
they
didn't know
said,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
Marvel's was 2023, right?
Well, it came out in 2023. I don't know what the time of the year was actually.
I
in the
believe,
MCU.
if I'm not mistaken, everything in the MCU, like movies and shows, it's always like 2 years ahead of what the current year is. That seems to be the case from what I recall.
Except for Guardians of the Galaxy. That came out in 2014, and it said that in 2014 on the
Oh,
in the
that's
movie.
true. Yeah.
Yeah,
James Gunn doesn't give a shit.
he don't.
He's like, man, I'm just making a good movie. I'm not playing their game.
And good for him.
Yeah, no,
Well, we
absolutely.
got a lot of chats tonight.
Well, yeah, let's see. We got Kevin Davis saying Jurassic Park Rebirth going to take away some of Superman's box office in July. Warner Brothers should have moved this film. I saw Jurassic World Rebirth with my family. It will not be taking away the box office from Superman. And then we got
It's like you've seen one, you've seen them all type of thing.
much like how Force Awakens mimics A New Hope, this one really mimics sort of Jurassic Park. It's not terrible. Don't get me wrong.
It's a rebirth.
Like ScarJo's really good in it. Mashallah Ali is good in it. A lot of fine acting in it, but the script is just rehashed Jurassic stuff, and it was not great. And then we got Mackenzie, I think. Disney sells people's insecurities back to them. You're in bed with the mouse now. Does that mean we get some payments?
That'd be
'Cause
great, man.
I would
Hey.
not be opposed to that at all. But thank you, Mackenzie, for that riveting.
Mackenzie, if
those...
you've got the hookup, please let the mouse know. I will sell out in a heartbeat. I have no values, no morals whatsoever. I am no.
Okay, Crumbopulous, Doug there.
Right. I just love killing.
I'm just going to ask Miss Mackenzie or Mackenzie. I shouldn't assume gender. I'm going to steal a line from The Silence of the Lambs. Why don't you use those amazing powers of perception upon yourself? But now we're on to episode 5. Karma's a glitch. And
He just
Slug-
glitched when he said that.
Am I turning into Max Headroom?
Just for that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Okay,
little
good. Well, Slug captures Natalie in Riri's suit with like a giant magnet of some sorts.
Sure, why not?
Riri meets up
Because
with.
you gotta let your suit fly on its own every now and then, so it can be vulnerable.
You always got to let your freak flag. Oh wait, no, that's not what you said. I'm sorry.
No, not at all.
But Riri meets up with Zelma at White Castle, who believes the hood came from Dormammu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the crew arrives
Then-
to kill.
I like that she's very kind to Zelma. Gives us, a rundown of the end of Doctor Strange, more or less. Tells us all about wizards and Dormammu and all of that good stuff.
Yeah,
So very kind of her.
it gave us.
I found it kind of strange. You just said what you just said. I said strange. I didn't mean to do
I
that.
was like, did he do that on purpose?
Totally.
It was kind of weird that they were so gleeful about their new assignment. I knew that they were criminals, but I didn't know that they loved killing people, especially parts of their team.
And
They were
especially
just so happy and excited about it.
Yeah, they did seem pretty gleeful about it, but okay, so I chalked that up to at the time they were under the assumption that she had purposely killed Joe. Was his name? I think John. What's the
yeah, I
cousin's
can't
name?
remember his name now.
Pavel? I don't know.
I don't remember, but they were under the assumption that she had purposely killed him, and this is also before they knew that Parker had killed Rampage.
Yeah. And so even without that knowledge that, they were ready to cross that line. They didn't care. They weren't going to, they were excited about it. That's the part that bothered me, is that if you've never killed someone before, why would you be so, all right, let's go do it.
I don't know. They were pretty dead set on it.
The two fighters.
Zeke, he seemed like the only one. I'd say Zeke and Hood seemed to really be the only ones who had that big of a grudge. The rest of them, they really should have just seen her as, our coworker Riri, who did one job with us or two jobs.
The two I understood the most were the two fighters. They just seemed, not that we got any backstory or any depth to them, but they seemed like just the typical sort of, hey, go do this. And they're like, yeah, let's go do it. Let's crack some heads. But Clown did have kind of a relationship with her and a kind of friendship. Slug, probably not so much. A little bit, maybe.
No, barely at all.
But, Clown and Riri were kind of, when she had the hood suit on, they were kind of going back and forth. And the one thing I did like, though, is that she was like, he killed Rampage and so-and-so. And she's like, whatever, I'm still doing my job or whatever. But then she went and checked on it. She had the thought to be like, okay, I do want to follow up on that because it seemed weird that as soon as he left the gang, he was dead. And, putting some holes in their allegiance to the hood was a good thing on her part because she knew she had to do anything or these people were going to probably chase her for the rest of her life. But it was a good fight scene too. I liked it. It wasn't, she was bad. She was battle scarred up. It was really good action. I liked
and she
the explosives.
didn't naturally just kick someone's ass. She was taking some blows.
Yes.
I sorry to put it that way. I don't know. But
Well, no, this was probably one of my favorite episodes out of the bunch, and it was exactly what I asked for. I am kind of surprised, but you guys remember when I said that one of my favorite scenes of Iron Man 3 was when we've got Tony out of the suit and he just has to use his intelligence and his surroundings in order to get by. And so he didn't have a suit and he had to he had to MacGyver his way in. And that's exactly what she did in this situation. It wasn't as grand or as cool looking as, the Tony Stark version, but she was basically using her surroundings and whatever she could get her hands on in this White Castle to figure out her way through this. She's like scanning her surroundings, like, okay, I can use this, I can, use that, knock them out with this, I can jump over here, use this. And she was just using what she could put her hands on, and that's what I liked, because it shows that she is more than just the suit. Not to, take from Spider-Man Homecoming, but that's one of the things about these heroes that rely on, a tool or a suit. If they can't do anything without the suit, then, anybody could just wear it. It wouldn't matter at the end of the day. So the fact that she's able to use her intelligence and her surroundings to get herself kind of out of the situation for the most part, that's what I wanted to see, and I am glad for that.
Well, she did get herself at least out of the White Castle until Zeke showed up.
Yeah.
And Zeke just absolutely dismantled her.
Absolutely.
dismembered the suit. Is that what you said?
Dismantled. Dismantled sounds better. Dismembered would be something alive. Dismantled, not so much. But then he does show her.
In it.
He does show her some mercy. Like, listen, I don't want to kill you. Get out of town, because if Parker finds out, we're all in trouble. And
See,
I
that's
like that
what I
too.
said. Like, I don't see him as like totally evil. I know that he's mad at Riri. He has every right to be, but I knew that there was no way he was going to, absolutely turn on her against her. Absolutely.
And I just want to give a shout. Carrie is in the chat. She made it. Hopefully not too late. You are certainly not too late. You're never too late, young lady.
But yeah, so I like the fact that when he confronted her, you could tell that, they did have, I wish it would have been explored a bit more in the show, but they had a prior relationship. And so, yeah, of course, he wasn't looking for blood. And he even told her, I don't want to end up like my dad. In fact, now that I'm starting to think about it, I think Zeke might be the most developed character in this series. Like, I think he got more development than anyone else.
Don't forget about the last scene he's in, which we haven't covered yet.
Right.
So at this point, that's what you were thinking before that scene. Is that about Zeke? Yeah, because I thought all right, he's really not. He really understands himself better than he isn't going to hate her. He's just mad at her.
Yeah.
And then they'll work it out. And
which, again, like I said, it's very understandable. She did the one thing that he asked her not to do, got him arrested. He lost his job. He lost his fake name. He's basically he now has to be on the run because he's also now escaped from prison. So his life is ruined. There's really no coming back from that. And, he'll end up describing later on, we'll get to that. But he basically lets her know, look, this is the situation I'm in, and there's no way out of it for me.
Yeah, he doesn't have his dad's money, so yeah, he's definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
But he does leave her, and when they get back, he gives the Hood her mask. Says she's dead. He's like, that's not a very good story or whatever. But then Clown, knowing she needs to follow up on that information that Riri gave him, yeah, he did it. Oh, there was a battle, all this stuff, and it was all good. And then so Hood is satisfied at that moment that, okay, they killed her. Sweet.
I like how they try to trick the audience at first, and Clown's like, well, that's not actually the whole story, and then says, really, it happened like this, and then just goes, elaborates, and he kicked her butt and tore her apart, tore her suit apart, limb from limb, and it's like, oh, okay, all right, nice.
Now that's the story.
Yes, which I could tell by, if you looked at Parker's face, you could tell, like, he still doesn't buy it, but he's willing to accept it for the time being.
And then obviously Riri gets home, and she's kind of asking her, why are you so obsessed with this suit? What about it? And she says, it's to protect people.
Because I can. She keeps saying, she's been saying that in like every episode. Why do you want to build this suit? Because I can. And I think we found out in the last bunch of episodes that that's what her stepfather used to say all the time. Why are you rebuilding this old car? Because I can.
Well, to me, it shows that she isn't ready to be a superhero.
No, definitely not.
Like Tony Stark built the suit once he got back to help people, and that's what the thought is for all these heroes. And that's not her thought. Her's like, you want to build something? I want to build it iconic.
Yeah.
And I want to do it because I can. So she hasn't crossed that over. So that goes with Keith's theory earlier about this is the fall of Riri Williams. She hasn't realized that yet.
This is definitely a complete tragedy. And I mean, you see it in every episode. When you think about it and you go back, it's like every choice she makes is wrong. Every choice she makes is to cut corners and to do it quick, and hide from her family and lie to her family and do all these things. And it's probably, I don't think the writing did such a great job of letting us know, but it's probably her grief from what happened to her stepdad and Natalie that caused all this. And I wasn't expecting it to end the way it did, and we'll get to the ending in a bit, but I was kind of glad they did it. They took a chance on not doing your typical superhero show and did something different. And while it wasn't perfect, I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did it the way they did.
I am not, but we'll talk about that when we actually get to that point. I was impressed with not the storytelling, but the camera work and a lot of the direction they did things, because that was something that looked really good in a lot of these episodes. Not only just the overall direction and the camera placement, and some of the acting was really done well, in my opinion, too. But then the other thing that I've continued to love about every episode in the series, I talked about this last stream, I like every time they show the Ironheart logo built into something else. So, like in episode 4, we get it on the wall of the pizza place, and then in episode 5, we've got it on the White Castle box. And I like that they're doing that. As it feels very comic booky, and that I love that when they allow themselves to get a little weird with it and add that comic book stuff into it. Cool. And that it was very impressive. Every time I saw it, I'm like, nice. I like that. I like they did that.
They don't always do it in the beginning of the show either. Kind of like Invincible. They'll drop it halfway through.
Yep.
And that's kind of cool.
They didn't tease it a couple times before doing it at all, though. So, we got our thing. But, her mom basically says, hey, let's go to the garage. I basically got your old car. Let's rebuild the suit. You need it. I don't know why they didn't get the parts that were left in the road to help build it, but
right.
That's not here or there. Little things
a lot
like
of
that.
you again, you constantly kind of have to suspend your disbelief, because if you start to ask too many questions, it falls apart about as fast as Riri's many suits.
They really did not do a great job of tying everything together.
I was constantly sitting there thinking, in the first episode after she, what's that?
I mean, when Keith's talking, it's kind of breaking up every couple of seconds.
Oh, yeah, that was happening. So, anyway, going back to the first episode of this series, I noticed that after she had crashed in Chicago, one of the first things she does after she meets Wagon, cannot remember his name, but they go to this place where they sell like, junk parts and auto parts and everything like that. And I get that she used to go there all the time. She has history with it because she would help rebuild cars with her stepdad. But it just seems weird to me that she would mention that it's a one-to-one, that you could build a functional mech suit out of car parts. Like maybe some pieces
Years.
might.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the gears
maybe.
are
But
involved with
a lot of it,
building together.
you'd literally just have to like melt down the metal, I guess. I don't know. Like I don't think
And
that's
it
how it
still had the
works.
markings from the car on it so that they didn't damage it
Right.
all when they
Yeah.
were transitioning
And
it.
I'm sure it was perfect. It just happened to be form fitting and everything.
Right.
But
That was my problem with it. And my other problem was the memories that they showed from the AI. I was like, how would they reach into her memory to to broadcast that to everybody just perfectly from where
uh,
they're standing?
it's called Barf, Dave. Come on.
Oh,
Get
they have
get with your
Bart in
Iron
her
Man
outfit.
lore.
Oh, God, I'm so dumb. I'm
AI,
sorry. Go ahead.
AI took that memory and kind of altered it a bit to kind of fit what they
Yeah.
needed for then. You notice they only had like three fingers in some scenes, and like
Their face didn't quite match up. Some of the stuff in the background kept shifting and changing, and it didn't
Teeth were
seem.
missing.
Some people had three legs. Look, AI knows that humans have limbs. It just doesn't really know how many they're supposed to have. It hasn't quite figured that out yet.
not yet.
But yeah, no, I one of my, and I know this is such a nitpick, but bear with me. What is Riri's obsession with big ass shoulders?
I don't.
Please help me understand why in every chance she gets to make a suit, she's like, "Okay, this is almost perfect. Let me put some big ass shit on the shoulders for no reason at all." What does it accomplish? Like I don't get it. And I'm looked back at the Wakanda suit, big stupid shit on the shoulders, and then her rebuilt one after she got to Chicago that was torn apart, big stupid dumb shoulders, and then this one, big dumb. Like why do you keep doing this? Is it just an aesthetic choice that you like? Because it's dumb, dude.
No, she made it out of the fenders of the car, man. It was
I
neat.
guess I don't know
She
what
had
the
used
hell the
every part.
deal was with that.
I-
It's just so weird,
I
man.
did like her final suit though. I did think that was the closest to the comic book version we got.
Yes,
Obviously, it was
other than
good.
the stupid shoulders, yes.
I didn't mind the shoulders as much as you. They weren't my favorite, don't get me wrong, but I didn't hate them as much as you did. But
Well, I don't hate
it
them.
was
They're
just
just
another.
dumb, and it made me laugh.
It's just another one of those things. Like the writers, you can do a good job with crazy stuff going on, with certain adding things here and there, and they just didn't really have it. They like, okay, we're gonna leave the suit in the street and not worry about it, and just no one's gonna worry about it. But you do, and I didn't. Don't get me wrong, I didn't hate this show. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it, but they did that so much that I kept, we every episode we've talked about, it's like, well, they did this. That's not.
But
really
why
how
did
it
you do
works.
that?
Or why did she have to take
like the hacking.
the biomesh? Why'd she have the biomesh with a laser instead of just plastic scissors? She could cut the thing off. It's like, oh well, we need to do that so then it can be left behind and then Zeke can get blamed. And they just did
Yeah,
that
right,
so
exactly.
much. I like appreciate some of the storytelling, like the way they wanted it to go, but man, they just failed on so many aspects of the story. It's like they just, I don't know if they didn't have enough time to delve into everything, or they were just like, no one will care. It's a superhero show.
I think they could have used 3 more episodes to kind of help flesh this out a little bit, because one of the other things that we had noted was how they had spent almost the entire first episode just telling the audience all this stuff that, had they just explained it in some of these episodes, shown us, in some of these episodes, broken it down. I think it would have been better. And also, maybe we would have cared about some of these characters a little bit more, and they wouldn't all just seem one note there for no reason. Like, my first thought when they introduced Zelma, I didn't know anything about her from the comics. I ended up having to look her up after the fact, and I'm like, oh, so they needed a magic character, so they had to introduce a magic character. But then, when they introduced her again in, the second episode with the White Castle, and then when she showed up later on, yet I'm like, okay, so clearly there's more about this character than I realized. I ended up looking up, I'm like, oh, okay, so she does have a pretty expanded comic book history. Again, something that if you would have had a few more episodes, maybe you could have fleshed that out a little bit more too. Because she seems like, again, based on what I read from the comics, she seems like a pretty cool character.
She is, and I think she was introduced in this because they, at the time, were planning a Strange Academy series, and she would have fit in very nicely there. Now, maybe with the character being, enjoyed in this show, maybe they'll do it again, but I do believe that was why. But she is a good character, and I thought she was, fine in this, once again.
The way they did it, it seemed to me like somebody looked at him and said, all right, what is a geeky witchcraft person going to do and look like? And that's what she was. It's exactly what like somebody thought she might look like.
Maybe their AI came up with it.
Well, she's like that in the comics too. So they only did what the comics had done. Now, why they had her that way in the comics, she was always kind of a bookworm in the Strange Academy series, and that's just what her character was.
I suppose the same reason why Miles' dad is named Jefferson Davis, because they don't always put the most thought into it.
Well, yeah, it doesn't mean like because they were that way in the comics, doesn't mean that it's like I don't know. It's not.
It doesn't. They don't have to do a 1-to-1. Well, don't worry, Dave. They didn't, because as I mentioned, Riri likes big ass shoulders in this show where she didn't in the comics.
And she doesn't make bad decision after bad decision after bad decision.
Exactly.
This was almost like the increasingly poor decisions of Todd Margaret. If you ever watched that show, this is what the show was. So, they're not doing one for one.
As long as we're about to get into the next episode, I gotta tell you, it was really hard for me to make it through these 2 episodes. They were really annoying me with all the disbelief and the suspension and all that, and my dislike of the way they portray the character. This last episode, I know Doug didn't like it that much, but
he liked it. He just thought it was the weakest.
I thought Sacha Baron Cohen stole the show.
Oh, he did. Oh, he really did. He was the best part of that entire episode.
But before we get into that episode, let's finish up episode 5, because we did have Clown kind of confronting Parker and getting him upset. He ends up firing everybody in a fit of rage.
Everybody, which, okay, again, now, you killed Rampage because why?
He left.
Fired him.
He left the crew and he knew too much. So what's he going to do? Hunt down all of these people too?
And Carrie, hold on. Carrie's asking, is she a criminal in the comics? She is not.
No.
That is why it's not a
no,
1-for-1.
Carrie, she is not. She's a superhero in the comics.
She doesn't insult Tony Stark. She loves the guy.
Yeah, no, and he's like a mentor to her. So
Tony Stark AI. But so he ends up firing them. Zeke does not want to join the crew, and that's when he finds out, we put a little override in your bio implant.
It turns out we typed super fast and added a different name, so hack. That's right.
And I fired that person, so if anything goes wrong, I guess I'm out of luck.
And by the way, I'm the only person named Parker,
Robbins.
Whatever his name is. Huh?
Parker Robbins.
Yeah, I'm the only person in the entire planet Earth named Parker Robbins. So, because we typed in Parker Robbins, that means that only I can control you.
Yeah.
And then, with his new...
That's how hacking works.
With his new bio-implanted superhero crony, he goes to his dad's house with a contract to take over, and we find out that all the companies he was targeting were kind of part of his dad's sort of conglomerate. And
His
he's now,
what is the rich person For portfolio.
Portfolio,
All
yes.
part of his portfolio. Sorry. I had to remember that because I'm like, I know what you're trying to say, and I don't remember the rich person word for it.
And Carrie said, interesting. As Keith knows, the fact that she's a criminal is really hard for me to buy in. They just make it so much of a choice versus, black widows who are forced into it, or
Widows.
Hawkeye, you can sympathize with. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're right, and that's why when I realized at the end this is more of a tragedy, and why they did it with this character, I don't know, but it made more sense to
My
me. But I
my
don't.
only assumption my only assumption based on this, because I'll admit I didn't give it as much thought as you guys have, and I probably should have, because it didn't occur to me until you actually said that, Keith, that this is basically a tragedy for this character from start to finish. And I guess it didn't occur to me until you mentioned it. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it was. But this is almost like the first act in pretty much every superhero story. Like, if you want to compare it to Iron Man, for instance, he had to realize the error of his ways by being confronted with what his company had been doing. So he gets kidnapped. He finds out that these terrorists are using his weapons and they're killing innocent people, and he realizes, in that moment, what have I done? I need to correct it. So he builds that suit, escapes, and then takes it a step further. Instead of just saying, all right, I got out of my predicament, he now realizes I have to make up for all the wrong that I've done. So we were able to see his, all the bad choices that he made in the first part of the movie, and then him be confronted with it, and then decide that he needed to turn over a new leaf and make up for it. But again, that they had condensed it for the sake of a movie. For some reason, I don't know why they decided this entire show needed to be like that first chunk of a movie. I don't know why she needed to have, like, she didn't get a redemption in this. So unless they're planning on doing a movie or a season two, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't think they're planning on doing a season two. I do think it'll be in other projects. And we can talk about that at the end. But, they
Okay.
confront the dad, sign this thing, and, he eventually does because, that's how businesses work. But,
Yes, that will hold up in court. Did you know?
yes, I wasn't coerced at all. But it ends with them basically, Zelma powering up the suit with dark magic. And, of course, there's always a cost to dark magic. And it ends up deleting Natalie. Oh, and Carrie says,
Yes.
well said, Doug. That really highlights the storytelling disconnect.
Yeah.
Well, and I think they meant it from the start to be this. Like, I did not expect her to make one more bad decision to finish the show. I was like, okay. I was shocked, and I liked it. As soon as she made that last decision, my whole thing, I was like, okay, that was cool. I didn't expect that. I expected her to be like, never, haha, I'm going to be good. And so I was immediately thrown into the what's next type thing. And I like that, but I didn't. It's nice when they break the mold a little bit. We know what every superhero show does. We know what every movie does. It has a certain plot, and they kind of follow it to a T for the most part. It was nice breaking away from there. But we do find out at the beginning of episode 6, which the past is the past. We find out when Parker and John, that's the guy's name, were trying to rob Parker's dad's house. They're running away. The security's chasing them. And he runs into Mephisto in that little tunnel. And he's basically like, oh, I'm just here to open the door if you want. And they end up going in, and he's like, what do you want? And they'll stop.
And what do you know? It's
stop
the
bullshitting
pizza
me.
place that they end up using as their base.
You know what's funny is that on Lucifer, you guys ever watch Lucifer?
No.
Oh yeah.
The Devil. You never watched Lucifer? The
Oh,
Devil that show. That was his question. Being the devil, what do you truly desire? And then he
Yes.
said that. Sacha Baron Cohen said that, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Well, the stomach wants what the stomach wants, am I right? I mean, we all have desires, right? Wonder what she desires.
Well, probably just to eat her own food. She just said it. Judy.
That's consistent. I know it's two
Yeah.
different,
One is
comic book
DC,
companies.
one is Marvel.
Right, but that's consistent. I dig
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And he's very persuasive.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Sacha did a great job as him. You know, you highlighted it earlier. He was
did.
tremendous in this episode. They couldn't have gotten a better actor to play Mephisto. He was gorgeous. He was awesome. And I love the fact
Once
later
we
on when he's
start-
talking to him, and he's like, "Why do you have a British accent now?" He's just like,
Right?
"Do whatever I want."
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, I really loved him in this show, and yeah, as Dave said, he stole every scene he was in. I have read some of the things that he has put forth as far as like any work that he's done on scripts, on writing, on direction of characters and everything, and as goofy as he comes off with some of his characters, he takes the roles very seriously. And he'll offer suggestions, well, actually, let's go ahead and try it this way. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he wanted to make sure that you could never really pin down the character of Mephisto, that, you were, he was always shifting and changing and looking a little bit different, because you notice how his clothes constantly change too, how the scenery would change, how he would alter how he talks to people based on who he's talking to or what he offered them. But also, I think my favorite part of the way they showed his powers in this show is how they would zoom in on his face and you don't see his mouth moving, but you hear his voice, because that's his way of getting in your head. And I loved that. It was so good.
That was really well done. And of course, the Hood before that finds out that he got everything he wanted, but it's not as fulfilling as he thought it was going to be. Having all that food on the table, owning all those businesses.
But he was greasy, stinky rich.
Yeah, exactly. But he confronts Mephisto again, basically saying, you didn't give me all that you said. And he's like, no, I gave you exactly what you asked for.
I gave you the tool. It was up to you to do it. I didn't tell you that I was going to make you a king. I gave you the tools so you could do it for yourself. That was our agreement.
For something that you wouldn't miss.
Yes, okay. That part bothered me a little bit. I mean, I knew what they meant, and they know that we know what they mean, but you can say the word. It's okay. You're not getting too religious. People use the word soul even if they're not religious. It's fine. He's a devil character.
I don't think they did it to that. I think he just doesn't want to say what it is. Oh, it's something you won't really miss. That's part of his persuasion. If he says, oh, it's just your soul, they'd be like, whoa, okay, hold on one second.
Rimuru, there are still things you must learn, like the subtle art of the unspoken message, got it?
Oh, right.
What does that mean? Saying it's something you won't miss anyway is just another part of his persuasion to kind of go, because, someone tells me, Keith, I'll give you everything you want. You won't miss what I'm taking. I'd be cool if they said, you have everything you want, but
You're
I'm
not
taking
going to question
your
it
soul.
at all?
I said I'd question it a little bit. But he says the soul, I'm like, okay, hold on one moment. We need to talk this through. What does that mean exactly? And what is...
What do you mean by soul? What is a soul to you?
Yes. But Riri, against her family and friends' wishes, goes to confront Parker. And goes to the pizza place. They end up having a little scuffle. And
This is where I felt the episode started falling apart. This is what I didn't like. Because so far, they've built it up that, Parker is the main bad guy. Yeah, they showed us Sacha Baron Cohen's character. But for this entire thing, Parker has been the antagonist. I mean, Riri is much better, but Parker he's supposed to be the villain of the show.
By the end, Riri is the villain of the show.
Yeah. But the fight with her and Parker was so quick. It felt, to me, it reminded me of not as dumb of a version as Special Investigation. Like, that fight was just stupid. But this one felt about as short. It was, like, very anticlimactic to me. Like,
See, but to me...
yes, it gave us more time with Sacha Baron Cohen's character, but to me it felt underwhelming. Like, it's like, okay, we're going to go confront the bad guy and we're going to fight and, oh, it's over? Okay.
See, I didn't see it that way at all. I saw it as she used the first rule of magic to defeat him. Look away. She made him believe that her thing was destroyed.
Yeah,
and
using
she was
her
just laying
hologram
on
and
a
all
thing.
that. I get it.
Yeah, she did sleight of hand
I'm
to
not
beat him.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with how she fought. I'm saying it was so darn quick. It was so, like, there was nothing
right,
there. It was
because
like,
he was overconfident that he could beat her, and especially he believed in his power more than anything else, and she used that sleight of hand for that 1 second, because how many times did they say it in this episode? All we got to do is blow off the failsafe, and then we can get in that 1 second that the firewall's down. They did it with Zeke's, biomed, so she could give him back access to it. They did it in that underground plant, and they kind of did it with this. She made him believe, I'm defeated, the suit is destroyed and I'm laying here. And that's how she was able to beat him. I didn't look at it like it was over too fast. I thought his overconfidence that he would have no problem with her was his undoing, because she tricked him. Magic.
that is a way to look at it. And the other thing that I thought about at first before she, went after them, my initial thought was, I'm kind of surprised that she's not doing kind of like what we saw Peter Parker do in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Not a great movie, but one of the things that he does, and I think this showed off his intelligence, after he had faced Electro, he had realized, I need to come up with a solution to, deal with this guy's electricity, because he darn near fried me the last time. So he ended up figuring out a way to strengthen his web. He figured out a way to protect his suit. And we saw an entire montage scene of him figuring out how he was going to defend himself against this. We saw Riri concerned about what she's going to do to deal with Parker's magic. And, she had Zelma create the magic circle and everything. But at no point did I see her figure out, think to herself, all right, what am I going to do about Zeke's electrical powers when this is literally the guy that, defeated me last time? Before I was even able to get to Parker, Zeke, grounded me, tore my suit apart. And while he may not want to kill me, he might still come after me again. And so my thought was, at first, I'm thinking, why didn't she come up with a solution? Why didn't she even think about it? And then once she had her, 5-second fight with Zeke, I'm like, oh, that's why, because it didn't matter.
Well, no, and I think she was more worried about Parker and what he would do. She knew Joe McGillicuddy / Zeke on a different level. He let her live, and I think she was like, I can get to him without having to fight him like that. And she knew if I could just talk to him and reason with him, she would get through.
I guess, but that's
they had to
putting
set
a
him
lot
up
of...
as the villain for season 2. That's what they did. They set him up. They said, this is
that
not over.
Too, yes, they did do that, but again, that's putting a lot of faith in, I really hope this works out. And I don't know, to me, that flies in the face of somebody that is supposed to be as intelligent as her. I know that the fight was between him and her was kind of almost non-existent because, again, he mentioned to her, look, I'm not in control, and he did apologize. I'm not trying to do this to you. I have no control. I have to do this to you. And so she was able to neutralize him. She did have a thing that was able to neutralize his biomechanical stuff, but again, she didn't protect herself going into that. So I don't know what she would have done had the writers not formulated it in such a way that she was going to be able to get around him, put the thing on his neck, and go confront Parker. If this had been, I hate to use this term for a superhero show, if this had been a real world confrontation, how would she be so sure that it would go that smooth? I guess that was my complaint.
Noted. I did not have the same problem with it. I was like, he's a sympathetic character. Obviously, she knew she could get through to him.
Yeah, and I've got no problem with that. I think it was good. I'm one of the first people to say that I would love a villain to be more than just a two-dimensional, I'm bad because I want to be bad. And, I'm glad that they explained the reason why he's angry at Riri, because she essentially ruined his entire life. So, and I am also glad that he's not over it just like that.
And just so you know, Doug, Carrie says, I'm with you, Doug. I think it was lazy writing. There was quite a bit of that in this. Then she says, she's also not intelligent. MIT deserves a refund, and someone else on this versioner should have gotten that scholarship.
Oh, damn.
She's book smart. You give her that.
And she's young. She's learning. She'll learn the right way to do things.
Yeah, she's not all the way there, people smart-wise. But, she's only 16, right? So... give her a break.
But this episode ends with Riri having a conversation with Mephisto. And he does introduce himself as that even though we all knew.
I like how he snapped and opened her suit like that. I mean, that was a display of power. It was really slick.
You don't want to sit down wearing that goofy Transformer costume? Let me help.
Great. Another magic asshole.
That's me.
Give me my shit back.
As soon as we're done catching up.
And that is, again, Sacha Baron Cohen, man, just stealing these scenes because, he was oozing with charisma, and I loved it.
I loved how he got so offended by them calling him Dormammu.
Dormammu?
That's the greatest line ever uttered in the MCU. He isn't fit to clean my glorious asshole.
Wonderful. Oh, dude, I loved it. That was great.
I laughed out loud when he said that. I was like, that is the perfect line. But
I love how Dormammu was such a big bad, and he takes him so non-seriously. Are you serious? This guy, get out of here. I love it.
Dormammu, he ain't nothing.
He
But
ain't
he
nothing.
totally, like he did with the Hood, he completely manipulates Riri with her grief for Natalie and stuff that she has never gotten over, and ends up she signs the deal.
And now, here's where my issue was with that, because the flash forwards imply that she might have, like, we see the little, vein or anything, but we're not guaranteed that this is actually happening. They left it very vague. And I'll tell you why. If you go back, because I went back later on today and I rewatched that scene, I slowed it down. If you look, she does not take his hand. She doesn't shake his hand. She actually moves her hand down. Now, I don't know if that was the intent, but to me, the way that it was filmed and framed, it looked very open-ended and very vague. And I have seen enough movies that are like that, where I know that sometimes directors like to be like, well, I'll leave it up to you. And had this been, a one-off movie and not part of a larger universe, I would have thought that was cool. But the fact that this is part of a connected universe and this character is meant to show up in other movies and TV shows, I hated that it ended like that.
Let me just tell you why I don't think, even though they had shown us earlier that he was able to show her, this could be all yours and stuff. If it was truly an illusion, or his showing her what it was, she would not have had the markings on her arm. He would not have shown her that, because she might have been able to see that and go, that's part of the deal. I actually start to look like Parker did. I do believe that was real life, and it happened after she made the deal, because that was kind of something that wasn't showing the deal in the best light, showing the downside of the deal. So he wouldn't have shown her that in an illusion of what she could have.
Let me ask you this then. So my assumption is, if this was in fact, because again, like I'm saying, to me it was still very vague. So if she did in fact take the deal, my assumption is the deal was that he would bring Natalie back. I'm guessing that was what he was going to offer her in exchange for something that she wouldn't miss. Yeah. But if that's the case, why is it however many weeks or months later, why is she in her garage trying to break down the magic to bring Natalie back? In fact, she actually thinks it was her. She doesn't imply that this is anything to do with Mephisto. She thinks, I finally did it. She even says that in this flash forward. I finally did it. I've been working on this forever, trying to break down the magic to bring you back. And she even thinks this is Natalie, her AI. She does not realize this is the real-life Natalie. So, again, to me, it was just too ambiguous. It was too... It could have brought Natalie back. But, again, if that is the case, if Mephisto brought the real-life Natalie back, I mean, first off, weird way to end it. Second, kind of... I don't know. It seems to undo a lot of things. First off, I don't like when they bring people back, for starters. I don't like when that happens. But second, the fact that, these deaths caused, at least in the comics, these deaths caused her to go on the route that she did and decide I need to make a suit and I need to protect people, because she ends up finally breaking down when they ask her, why are you doing this? After she, has said over and over, because again, she does finally admit it's because I couldn't do anything that night. I felt so afraid and I felt defenseless. I couldn't save you. So I want to build this suit so I can save the people that I love. So when she
And be
finally
iconic.
admits that, what's that, Dave?
And be iconic.
Yeah, sure, and be iconic, I guess. But yeah, so like I don't know. It's odd to me that they would make this choice in the show. Now I'm talking about the standpoint of the writers and the directors. So if you're going to say that this is the thing that forced her down this path, now we're going to undo half of it and we're going to say, oh, no, her friend is now back and okay, that's it.
Well, and that's how Mephisto works. If you read Spider-Man: Brand New Day, not the movie coming out next year,
When he brought back May. Yeah.
yes, when he made the deal with Mephisto,
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't all of a sudden like, oh, she's back because Mephisto brought him back. She was back, and it was like she always was there. So the same thing would happen with bringing Natalie back. She would just show up one day, and she wouldn't be like, oh, wow, Mephisto did this. It would be like, seem like a natural thing. And of course, he doesn't want her, focusing on, I made this deal, because when he comes to collect that thing she won't really miss, he doesn't want her to prepare for it. And I do think part of what's next in the MCU, if we ever do get the more mystical side of the MCU cranking in Phase 7, it's going to be her figuring out that she needs to save her soul from this devil, from Mephisto. And she might join up with the Midnight. I still think she's going to join up with the Midnight Suns in some way. And that may be the movie that is a part of it all, is them fighting against Mephisto to save her soul from it. And of course, she will have to make that decision. Natalie will have to go again. So we'll see. But
I think she's going to team up with are there any like bad magic teams? Like evil bad guy magic teams?
no, there's
Well,
evil-
okay, she's going to create them. She's going to form this new bad magic group of people who do stuff for money and clicks or something. I don't know, because she's not ready to join Midnight Suns. She's too.
They may see her as someone who needs their help, especially with
Sure.
what she's done. But
Sure. Okay.
Carrie does say, interesting, Doug. Now I wonder. And then she says, agreed. Dead should be dead. Or what are we doing? Like, snap, okay, but that's it. And I do think, for the most part, I hope dead is dead. James Gunn has said it's definitely dead is dead in the DCU. I hope Marvel doesn't start bringing back dead characters. But then she says, okay, good counterpoint, Keith. So that's good. We're having a good discussion. We're showing both sides of this and what could happen. And now, I do think they did leave it a little open-ended, because whoever picks up this story next may change things, or may go the route she did make the deal, or may go the route she didn't make the deal. And I'm with you, Doug. I wish they didn't do it that way. I wish.
Normally, I'm fine with that, because if you think about it, like, okay, there's some good movies out there. You guys have all seen The Thing, right?
It's clobbering time? I'm kidding. I know.
At the end of that movie, how many people still to this day argue about, like, well, we don't know. What if it was actually this person? It could be that, when so-and-so had eyes like this, that he was infected by the thing. And so, there's still discussions about it to this day over, what the ending really meant. And I know a lot of directors do that in movies. There are plenty of them. There are a lot of them that are kind of good, like Inception. Inception's another one, how it ended with the top spinning, and it's kind of left up to the person, watching it. Is he out of the dream world? Is he back in the real world? Who's to say? It's up to you to interpret it. And I felt like that's what they did in this show. Kind of left it like, well, it's up to you. You interpret it. You figure it out. And that is fine, I think, for movies and shows separated their own thing. But when you're part of a larger universe where everything is supposed to connect and one story leads off to another story, I don't think you should do open-ended things or leave it vague like that. I think they needed to be a bit more clear on whether she actually took the deal or not. Don't leave it up to interpretation.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, it was like The Sopranos, the end of The Sopranos. Very much same thing. Left
Yes.
out. What
Oh my
does
God,
the darkness
yes.
means? You know, is it Tony was blah blah? So, and I agree. I think it leaves it up to interpretation, and it will be dependent on the next writers to figure out where it's going to go. Which they should have had that all planned out and mapped out. It should have been something that they're going by the seat of their pants, which we have seen a lot more of that in the MCU since
Unfortunately,
Phase
yeah.
4 than not. But and then we can't forget the post-credit scene where Parker goes visit Zelma and asks for Supreme-like help.
Mm-hmm.
And now,
So I'm disappointed. I really wanted the next scene of Rogers the Musical, but I guess we can see more magic.
and you know, this won't be like all of the other post-credit scenes that we never had a follow-up for. We got the Scorpion after Spider-Man Homecoming fighting Spider-Man. That was brilliant. You know, Doctor Strange with what's his name saying there's too many sorcerers, followed up on. Awesome. Let's see, the post-credit scene to the Eternals with Star Fox. Man, his storyline was one of the best of Phase 5. And then we got, you know, the ending of Shang-Chi with Carol and the Hulk saying, hey, the rings are beckoning somebody, followed up on. Excellent writing. The ending of Moon Knight with the new,
Sure.
with his new personality. Awesome. Thor Love and Thunder. The Hercules storyline has been some of the best writing we've
Love
gotten
how they
in the
followed that up.
MCU. And then my favorite that I talk about a ton, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier post-credit scene with the power broker, you know, saying she's got an in to the CIA and stuff. And then, of course, the ending of Quantumania with all of the Council of Kangs,
The Kangs.
all together and cheering. So it's going to be followed up on. We are going to see an epic ending to what we saw in that post-credit scene. And Rand.
Hey,
Holy
my
shit.
buddy Fee says that all post-credit scenes will be addressed, so you can just wait for it.
All right, so folks, if you want to actually watch in real time the silver lining falling off of Keith, go ahead and play this video back in slow motion, and you can actually see the moment where his heart is just crushed and he realizes that the past 3 years of MCU have led to nothing.
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
My God.
Makes me wonder if
God,
we should sit and wait for an after-credit scene anymore.
I haven't seen anybody succinctly break it down like that. And now that you just laid all of that out, Keith, I'm so sad.
I know, me too. Because I was like, because my first thought was, okay, they didn't follow up on, you know, the power broker from. Then I'm like, what else didn't they follow up on? I was going through and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many of these. Dang it.
Right. There's so many. Oh man, they're like we need like an ongoing list.
We should.
I
We should
wonder
put
how they're
that
going to tie it all together. They're going to have one movie where they tie all those loose ends together. That's
Sure
it.
they are, Dave. Sure they are,
And
buddy.
it's going to be the Howard the Duck movie.
Oh God.
I'm in.
Why
I
not?
love it. This is a thank you, Dave. You.
Jeez.
But I do think, as of what's next, I do think a way they could take this is Ezekiel Stain could come in partnership with the power broker to start powering up, enhancing individuals because he has that ability. And I think we talked about this last time, or I dreamed it. I can't remember. But the Serpent Society was originally going to be in Captain America Brave New World, and they pulled them out. And at first, I think the general consensus was everyone thinking, well, they just didn't fit in the movie. They pulled them out. But I think it's because Zeke is going to be the one who powers up the Serpent Society with his bio, implants. And since this was supposed to come out well before Captain America Brave New World, but didn't, it wouldn't have made sense in Captain America Brave New World to have him. But I think we may see that moving forward. And I think he may work with the power broker because that's something she would want, especially to sell, so they could be a nice partnership. And
Well, yeah, especially since she doesn't have access to super soldier serum anymore.
Exactly. So if in lieu of the super soldier serum, we can enhance you with this. And I think we might see a lot more superpowered grunts in future MCU movies.
With like more tech in bed.
Yep. Because of Ezekiel.
Yeah, oh, I could definitely see that. Yeah, I really like that theory because I've been wondering, like, I'm curious what direction they're going to go with Zeke now because he does seem like he doesn't want to go the same route as his father. He doesn't want to be known as a criminal, but he's kind of at a point where he doesn't have any other choice. Like, what is he supposed to do? Just voluntarily go back to prison? I mean, like the amount of charges they were going to put on him, he would have never seen the light of day again. And so it's like, what does he do?
Because we do know
he
that
can't hold down a real job anymore. Now everybody knows who he is.
We know what happens when you escape prison. They double your sentence. We saw that in Lazarus.
And then they keep doubling it until you learn parkour and you escape.
That's right. But, I do think the only way he could possibly is if the government recruits him and says, we will, take away your crimes. But I don't like that route. I would much rather see him team up with the power broker, start enhancing people, and then try to get to the bottom of it. Maybe in a future Captain America movie, maybe in a Champions movie. There's a lot they can do with that. They just need the right projects.
What if... Yeah. Okay, that just made me think of something. What if instead of working with the power broker, what if he worked with Wilson Fisk?
Ooh.
Against Daredevil and Spider-Man?
Well, working with Wilson because in powering up some of these villains, because wasn't it Fisk that created Rhino? In the comics, I thought it was.
I don't think so.
Or was it Scorpion?
Scorpion.
No, which one did JJ make? JJ had something to do with one of the villains. It was either Scorpion or Rhino. Basically fused him into the suit where he couldn't get it. I think it might have been JJ might have made Rhino, but Fisk was responsible for a couple of other villains and helping them acquire their abilities. And since a lot of them are all tech related, it would be interesting if, he was working on Fisk's team as somebody who was making these supervillains.
I like that angle quite a bit because, we could actually get, if we do get Fisk in the next Spider-Man movie, and he could be working with him, he could be the one who creates Scorpion. And then that would tie another loose end from Spider-Man Homecoming, and, that character in that film getting powered up and being, fighting and stuff. I like that angle quite a bit. As long as he could just be working on his own and Fisk comes to him and, hey, I need this and that. And, Emily could come to him and be like, hey, I need some of this. I need to power up these guys. They paid me. And it would be a neat thing to see. But I think they have that angle now they could approach. And I really hope they do because, we know we're getting the mutants in Phase 7 and a bunch else. But this, mutants can have their storylines. We can have the cosmic storylines. We can have the mythical. And then we can have the more grounded.
Oh, we lost him again.
Oh, I heard you.
Oh.
There you go. We got you again.
Okay,
Good.
You're back.
Oh, good. But yeah, I was just saying I like that idea, Doug, quite a bit. That'd be a good way to go.
Cool.
Well, should we rate these final 3 episodes of Ironheart?
I think so.
All right.
And if you're out there in the chat, please give us your ratings. We already got Kevin's. He gave it an 8 out of 10. But anyone else out there, please let us know.
Oh, yeah, Carrie, let us know what you would rate Ironheart as just do the entire series so far. What would you rate the whole series on a scale of 10 with 5 being average?
And I was going to ask, do we want to rate these last 3 as well? Or just
yes.
Whole show?
The last 3 and the whole show.
Well, these last 3 episodes, the first episodes 4 and 5 were kind of hard for me to get through. I don't know if it was my mindset or just there were just so many things on the show that I... forgot where I was flowing with this, but those 2 episodes where, I don't know if I mentioned before we got cut off, like her, making every part of that suit from what they had in the garage. I just did not see
No, you didn't get to that yet.
yeah, the gears needed to run that suit for her to be able to
Wires,
fly.
microchips.
Yeah, she's not gonna find this in a garage.
It has become increasingly clear my daughter married a man who remembers all technology as powered by springs and gears.
I don't care how many silly people of her friends that are uneducated on building something like that are with her. I don't care how many of them were there. And it was really, when I got through those episodes, I was like, oh my God, this is really stumbling back to the barn. You know what I mean? It's limping back to the barn. They aren't going to make it. But then episode 6, Sacha Baron Cohen really blew me away. I thought he did such a great job. And the backstory on the hood was kind of cool. It wasn't the best, but it was kind of cool. But then, we're seeing different sides of him, like Doug mentioned earlier, as far as like when Riri landed there and he just Mephisto, that is, snaps his fingers and opens the suit. It's like, I'm not threatened by you whatsoever. You can make as many suits as you want. You got nothing on me. And he exuded that he wasn't threatened by anything, and he's been around forever. Like that conversation about Dormammu, which was awesome. He
Love that. That was hilarious.
So that really saved these last 3 episodes for me. And still, I didn't think they were amazing or anything, and I probably won't go back and watch. I might go back and watch that 6th episode just because of him. But overall, on those 3 episodes, I'm going to give him a 5.5. And overall, on the whole series, I'd say a 6.
Okay.
I probably will not go back and watch it again, except for maybe that 1 episode.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought this was a pretty good series. I enjoyed it for the most part. There was way too many moments where I was like, why aren't they going back to get the suit that's just laying in the street? Why are they handling it this way? Why does she need biomesh because there's no metal allowed there? Why does she need a blowtorch to take the thing? There were so many of those moments in this series that I think brought it down a little bit for me, but I did enjoy it overall. I liked the fact that they broke the mold from the comics and kind of made this the downfall of Riri Williams, and now she's going to have a redemption arc at some point. I thought Dominique Thorne did a great job acting. Unlike Dave, I liked Zelma. I liked that character from the comics, and I thought the young lady doing it did a good job with it. And I even liked Anthony Ramos, who played the Hood. I thought he did a very good job. I thought Zeke, Adrian Kiliach, no, that's the dude from Iron Man 3. Whoever.
Something Eldridge? Something like that.
Something
Alden
like that.
Eldridge.
Alden Eldridge, yes. He was fantastic, but none of them came close to Sacha Baron Cohen. He was so good in that 6th episode. I loved every scene with him in it. I gobbled it up. And I mean, overall, I thought some of the music choices were really good. For the most part, I thought the special effects looked good. The only thing that dragged it down were these little plot holes and just silliness that they didn't care to expand upon in any way. Maybe it was a time issue. I don't know. But I think these last 3 episodes, with the help of episode 6, which I loved. I liked 4 and 5 too, don't get me wrong. I thought it was really building to something, and I enjoyed it. I thought 6 was my favorite. I think the last 3 episodes are probably going to get about a 7 from me. And then I think the overall series is probably going to be about a 6.5. It's still good. You do have to suspend disbelief a lot getting through this. It's not just one here and there or one thing to kind of get through it. It happened a lot, and I think that did drag it down quite a bit.
I really am looking forward to seeing how other people end up breaking this down and like what they're. I'm really looking forward to to the Ryan George pitch meeting, because he usually he kind of gets to the point of like how the discussion must have went, because yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head, Keith, that it feels like they didn't have time, which they did that to themselves. Nobody other than Disney and Marvel said you only can do 6 episodes. I mean, I truly believe if they would have upped it to like 10 episodes or something like that, I think it would have given it more room to breathe and actually tell a better story. But instead, what we got felt more like something that probably was intended to be a movie and then chopped up and fit into episodes, and then maybe a few scenes here and there were just expanded a bit to add in some necessary filler that, otherwise would have been montaged away in a movie or something. But I would say out of these 3 episodes, I think I liked them better than the previous 3. Now, the previous 3, episodes 1, 2, and 3, they were fine, but they didn't do much for me. They were I think I ended up rating them a 5 or 5.5 or something just because they were fine. They were average. They weren't anything groundbreaking. And, at the time I was thinking, well, they've introduced these one-note characters that are part of the crew, and it feels like every other heist crew. It's like, oh, we've got the hacker, we've got the pyromaniac, we've got the, explosives, we've got the muscle, the all this other stuff, and it's like, okay, they exist just so we have a crew. You son of a bitch, I'm in. And so it's like, we didn't get much. And finally, with these episodes, now they wait till like almost the end of the show to, I guess we should expand a little bit on these characters. And I will say, I think they did a good job with Hood. I did, he's still not a good guy, but I understand his motivations a little bit more now. The fact that his father had the nerve to actually look at him and say, it was just a business deal. I didn't want you. You clearly didn't want me. So I sent you on your way. And he's like, I was 12. I was like, oh, dude. Oh yeah. I can see why you were targeting your dad. That's messed up. And so I do like that they, expanded on his character and gave you a reason why he was doing what he did, other than, because up until then, the only thing that we knew is, I want money, I want power, and I want the power because I want the money, and I want the money to get more power. And it was like, he was a nothing character, and it's like, I'm bad, and I'm going to be an evil Robin Hood, and it's like, okay. So I am glad that they gave us more. And then the introduction of Mephisto in these episodes, where they showed him actually, like, making that door appear, oh man. They're getting better with the magic stuff in this. I think they were very afraid to do it, and Doctor Strange, the first movie, felt kind of tame compared to what they're doing now with magic. It felt very much like, okay, we're still within the realm of, our initial Infinity Stone phase, and we got to keep things a little more grounded. We can't be too weird. We're not James Gunn, we can't be like that guy. So we've got to make sure that everything has, it fits within math and science, and we have to understand it from this kind of perspective. And I think now that they've done WandaVision, and now that they've done Multiverse of Madness, now they're like, okay, magic can be a little more wacky and fun and like, a little bit more out there. And I feel like they're finally accepting that. I felt like Zeke was fine. They expanded on his character a little bit more. I do understand his motivations a little bit better now, and it does make sense why he's still mad at Riri. I get it. So good on that. But yeah, like the both of you said, you really had to suspend your disbelief throughout this entire series, because there are so many things where you're like, that doesn't make sense. Why would that character do that? Or why would Riri make that decision? Or, like, a lot of it you just have to turn the brain off, and you got to be like, okay, in this world, nothing is going to make sense, and I just have to accept that. And if it wasn't for Sacha Baron Cohen just stealing the show and being the best Mephisto you could ever be, if it wasn't for that, I would not have liked episode 6. Like I said, in my opinion, I know you guys don't agree with me, but in my opinion, I felt that the fights were underwhelming. For a final boss fight, in the end of a series, end of a season, we don't know if, there's going to be another one, but it felt like we had all this buildup. Oh, we've got to build this brand new suit, and we're going to tear apart this car, and we're going to create magic circles. And there was a lot of buildup and testing, and, I'm really worried about Parker. And then for the fight to be like, okay, 5 minutes and it's done, I'm like, oh, okay, that was a lot of buildup for nothing. Cool. And then, like, the thing with the Zeke, like, no preparation, just went in hoping that he wasn't going to hurt her. And, and it's like, I guess she got lucky. So good. Again, suspend the disbelief. But yeah, those scenes with Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto, that was the best part, I'd say, of this whole series. The way that they would move the camera, how they introduced him at first when she walks down the stairs. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but the camera was tilted downward. So it's showing it because she's in her suit. She's protected. She's got the magic. She's above him. She's, there's nothing that he can really do to her at the moment. But then he snaps his fingers. Okay, so, alright, I think I know where I left off. Alright, so as I was saying, I wasn't too thrilled with this end. And it was mostly because of the fact that this is part of a larger cinematic universe, right? And up until Keith went on his depressing Marvel never, commits to anything tour of hold on, they've actually been doing this the whole time. It didn't how often things like this happen where they kind of tell you in a post-credit scene, don't worry, this is coming. Oh god, the whole Star Fox thing, that really got me too. But this, in my opinion, I feel like this is worse than just an end credit scene. So with the end credit scenes in the other movies, if they don't amount to anything, it's not too big of a deal. It's an end credit scene. Doesn't matter that much. But when it comes to this, they ended the series proper kind of a little vague, a little open-ended, and it's fine. Some directors like to do that. Leave it up to the audience to decide for yourself. Did she take the deal? Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. Who's to say? I guess we really do just have to wait for the next movie or series where she's going to appear in to find out what is canon. I don't really know another way to put it because, again, we're not totally positive what actually happened. We can assume what happened based on, context clues, but otherwise, who's to say? So I'm going to give these 3 episodes, because, and mostly, this is Mephisto mostly saving it. I'm going to give these 3 episodes I'm going to give them a 7. No, a 6.5. I'm going to give them a 6.5 out of 10. Because while I loved the White Castle fight, and while I loved Sacha Baron Cohen, those were pretty much the only things that I really, truly liked about these episodes. I loved the scenes with Mephisto, and I loved watching Riri actually use her mind for once, which did not happen very often in this series for the person who's supposed to be, like, literally the next Tony Stark, this super genius. So, I think it could have done better. Overall, I'm going to give the series a 6. It was fine. It was better than average. It was a lot better than some of the stuff we've seen lately. It was way better than Lazarus, thank God, but which that's not saying much, but it was fine. It's worth a watch, for the goods. It's at the very least, do yourself a favor, watch that last episode. Even if you don't care about the rest of Riri's story and how her weird ass obsession with giant shoulders on her suits. If you don't want to know about her, joining a crew and committing heists, like if none of that matters for you, if you just want to finally see Mephisto, which we have been waiting for since 2020, then at least watch that last episode. It is worth it for that. Like I said, the camera shots were impeccable. Every scene where he would change his accent or change his clothes or, something like that. Like, I even like how he, when he's talking to Parker, everything is neat, and he's wearing a suit, a shirt, and he's looking very nice. And because the idea is he's trying to tell Parker, like, oh yes, I'll give you all the riches and everything that you want, but he doesn't have to do that with Riri. Instead, when he's sitting down, the pictures are all kind of askew. He's kind of just wearing a t-shirt with a blazer over it because he's not trying to sell her on riches. There's only one thing that she wants, and he knows that. And he's able to get in her head, and I loved those shots. So, for those reasons alone, at least please watch that last episode.
Agreed.
It was cool
And
when he kept going back and forth, and he changed his voice every time he
Yes.
did it too.
It was so good.
Carrie said she gives a 6.5 for the series. Landon gave it a whole point. Landon was the wagon kid, wasn't he? Because he was great. So.
Oh yeah, he was great.
So yes, good stuff. And I do. God, there was a point I was going to make. Something triggered in my head when you were talking, and now I forgot.
Sorry.
He got triggered, everybody.
I really did go on for too long. I apologize.
No, you had things to say.
I did.
My
I tend to
internet
get
just
a
couldn't
little too
keep up
ranty
with you.
sometimes. Wait,
Oh,
what
I was.
couldn't keep-
I remember what I was going to say. The
Oh,
when
what?
you were talking about the heist crew, when I was
Oh, yeah.
watching, like the fifth episode when they were all coming in to fight her and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, they totally stole from the CWDC shows. How they have to have the crew, and I was like, oh my god, they did. They are CWing it right now.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh no, Keith, that's even worse. Jeez. But yeah, you're not wrong. That's pretty much what they did.
And I do think, like you
Catherine
said,
included.
I think people have to watch that final episode just because there's so much that could come out of it in the next phase and things down the road in the MCU. So it's actually a pretty important episode, and you get to see, Mephisto finally. I know that New Rockstars is like going to plant fields and retire now that Mephisto is finally in the MCU. They're going to Thanos it up. But all right, we're done talking. Ironheart, we got some news and notes. I want to get it in before my internet shuts down again. So first, I
Right.
just wanted to say, do you guys want to guess what the 3 highest rated Phase 5 projects were on Rotten Tomatoes?
I do not want to guess. You tell me.
Okay, yeah,
Phase
let's go.
five, including movies.
Yes.
Jeez,
Number
I don't even remember.
number
Where did
three-
Phase five start?
Number 3 was Ironheart at 86%. Number 2 is Daredevil Born Again at 87%. And number 1 is Thunderbolts at 88%.
Huh. Okay.
Which Phase 5 wasn't the best. And now for some news and notes. This is a rumor by the Dish Insider. I don't know who that is. But he's saying Lucasfilm is reportedly planning a full reboot of the Indiana Jones franchise.
Oh,
And all I have
God.
to say is I want Zeke Solo to play him, since he already replaced
that'd
Harrison
be
Ford in
perfect.
one thing.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, okay. Might as well.
And then Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm are both skipping film panels at SDCC this year. So it
Not
sounds
even
like
surprised. They've been doing that.
I'm guessing they're going to save it all for their D23. They probably want as much smoke as they can get at their own little thing. And then in the, of course, column of rumors, we will see more of Mephisto in the MCU. Yes. 100%.
We
Hallelujah.
better. That would be the dumbest move that they could make if they, swept him under the rug like they did with Kang. Like, nobody likes Mephisto. Who cares? We'll move on to the next. We're gonna do the next villain. It's all just going to be Robert Downey Jr. wearing different masks.
They're interchangeable too. He has one like facing each direction.
Exactly.
All right, here we
We're gonna
go.
quickly run over. I'm Doom now.
No, he doesn't have to run off. He just switch. I'm Doom.
He just
I'm Iron Man.
right in front of everybody. I'm sorry. I thought you were Doom. No, I am Doc Ock now.
And now this is supposedly from an interview with Bryce Dallas Howard. She does want to direct a Star Wars movie. She said it's been great
Okay,
getting
I'd
to
be
do the
down for that.
episodes of The Mandalorian. I'd like to do a narrative feature. That's kind of my next dream. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars.
She's a good director. I've liked what she's made.
Did you guys watch that movie I told you about?
Not yet.
Deep Cover?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I don't know if she directed it, but she was in it. And, you know, I don't normally like her like you guys do. I thought she was fantastic in this movie. She was hilarious. And Orlando Bloom was also in it. And that guy, oh my God. I haven't seen him outside the Pirates of the Caribbean series. He was amazing. So I recommend that movie. Deep Cover.
Nice. All right. I'll check it out.
And then, according to Nexus Point News, they are going to a Korean production for the DCU is going to feature Helena, Bert and Ernie, and is going to be played by Pom Kemeltif Mantis from the MCU.
Nice.
This hasn't
She's
been
another good actress.
Yep, hasn't been confirmed yet, but it sounds like James Gunn did talk about they were doing some projects in other countries, and supposedly it's going to be in Korean, a bunch of Korean actors and writers and stuff. But they do say that there is a very good chance she is going to debut in season 2 of Peacemaker, coming up just next month. Yes.
Okay. Nice.
So I hope that one's true. The Huntress is a great character. I think Pom would do great, and I hope she sticks around for many, many projects. And that's it. That's all we got tonight, folks.
Well, actually, hold on.
Oh, we got more.
Did you see? Yes, I only have one though. Did you see the rumor over the weekend? Because I didn't hear you mention in our last stream, the rumor from Daniel RPK talking about Sony's spin-off Spider-Man movies.
No, I didn't even see it.
Not be doing anymore.
So he says that there are reports by the trades that says that Sony has effectively paused all plans for its live-action Spider-Man spin-offs, including Null, which was last seen in Venom 3. Now, he pretty much leaves it at that. Like, the only things that he says is that they've paused all plans for their live-action Spider-Man spin-offs, and they put on hold any live-action Spider-Man related project that they would have to do with. Obviously, that doesn't mean anything Marvel is doing, but you know what that means, that all of the other people on Twitter are now basing their rumors off of this. Do you want to guess what people are assuming?
That they're going to sell the rights back to MCU.
That has been the rumor that's been floating around. Daniel RPK has not actually said that. Again, the only thing that he said is that, and this is pretty much what we assumed. We mentioned this way back when we were reviewing Craven. We had said, this is probably it for them. They're most likely not going to do another one of these because they've realized that they're just sinking a bunch of money into them. It's not going anywhere. Nobody likes these movies. It's kind of pointless to make all of these spin-off villain movies without Spider-Man. And I'll be honest, I actually did not know this until recently. I didn't realize that the contract they had with Disney and Marvel was that they couldn't use Spider-Man outside of the Marvel projects. Like, they wouldn't be able to include him in their spin-off movies.
I didn't know that. I just thought they didn't want to confuse people. Wow.
Oh, no. They were forbidden. It was part of the contract, and I didn't know that until, like, this year I found that out. Because I couldn't understand why they were making these spin-off movies without Spider-Man. And I guess even supposedly when Madam Web came out, Disney had issue with them including all the different things. Like, you remember how we were like talking about, oh, well, they couldn't actually say Peter Parker, and they kind of alluded to it and things like that. Well, that was because Disney kind of put their foot down and said, hey, the contract, you can't do that. And yeah, I didn't know that, but it does explain a lot. Do I think they're going to sell to Disney? No. God, no. They wouldn't do that. That's a cash cow for them. Look how well they're doing with their Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse movies. That, if they ever release the next one, it makes them good money. They are making money off of that at the very least. And remember, they might want to eventually reboot some of these other, spin-off projects.
And remember, the Spider-Man MCU movies, totally developed by Marvel, but Sony,
but Sony still gets
all the profits.
Exactly. So yeah, and of course they're not going to sell. So anybody out there that is reading too into what Daniel RPK says, honestly, he's not saying anything that we didn't already assume. I mean, we all knew that these terrible movies that Sony can put out. So, I like it. I wouldn't read too much into it.
Yeah. Well, before we lose connection again, we should probably find somebody to raid.
Probably a good idea.
This has been anyone who has stuck through all of the technical issues we've had. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I'm going to definitely get this figured out and fixed so we don't. I don't know why we're dropping so much tonight. It may just be AT&T's internet. I'm not sure, but definitely don't like this. So we appreciate everyone who's stuck around.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.